Life and business can be easy, but us silly humans love getting in our own way. My name is Nico Rapklis, and I've had a wild journey. From releasing traumas that I held on to for decades, to playing college athletics, working with multi-million-dollar brands, having a spiritual awakening, and now coaching incredible humans navigate their inner and outer world. The Just Grow podcast is my outlet to share and help others with life and business. After investing north of $100,000 into my personal and professional development, the Woo Plus Do formula is what has served me best. A healthy combination of mindset, energetics, consciousness, spirituality, self-healing, and discovery, matched with a high-level strategy, principles, focus, optimization, and accountability to help you be, do, and have everything that has been placed in your heart. This podcast is for the impact-driven entrepreneur that is finally ready to start thriving internally and externally. Welcome to Just Grow. Yo, what's happening, my friends? Welcome to the Just Grow podcast. Nico Rapklis here, and really excited to present this episode to you. This is going to be an interview with Buck Wise. So I actually saw Buck speak at an event. He spoke at an event that I spoke at the previous day after I spoke. But then a couple weeks later, I think it was like the following week, I saw him at another event speaking. It was a big crowd, and he's a marketing strategist behind some of the biggest brands and some of the biggest campaigns in history. So it's a really exciting interview. It's much more on the do side, talking about marketing, talking about strategy. But this is a really powerful episode if you're wanting to learn more about marketing and how to amplify things in your business so that you can create more revenue, more clients, and just experience the business success. So you're in for an absolute treat. Now, if you are listening to this before our January 5th live event in Scottsdale, Arizona, you can go to www.justgrowpodcast.com. We still have a few tickets at the time I'm recording this. We will only have 50 seats available. So if you'd like to attend with us and get to experience the joy of our live events, they're really powerful. They are palpable. The energy there. We're going to have breath work. We're going to have open Q&A afterwards and open networking as well. So that's what you can kind of expect, and that's just a little glimpse into it. So again, if you'd like to attend, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about it, just go to www.justgrowpodcast.com, and we look forward to seeing you there. But without further ado, let's jump this interview with Buck Wise. Alrighty, dude. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me on, man.
This is
nice.
This is a unique experience, because usually the people I have on, I know them fully before they get on.
You're very well intimately.
Yeah.
Well, the open book, man. Let's get it all out on the table and learn about each other a little bit. Yeah.
I love that.
Appreciate you having me on.
Appreciate you being here. I know we were just talking. We have a couple mutual friends.
Yeah.
That I regard highly. So I was like,
nice.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Let's make it happen.
Yeah. So what I like to always kind of start out with is your story and how you got into entrepreneurship.
Sure.
Always love to hear some of the challenges amongst the journey as well, because I think that's something really to highlight, because a lot of people will see the glamorous entrepreneur journey and it's not that way.
I'm glad you said it that way, because I get asked to, tell us your story. I believe people tune out. I believe anyone watching your podcast, the second I start talking about when I was 17 years old, I started working for iHeartRadio. People just don't care. Right? So when you asked me that question, you were like, but tell me some challenges along the way. Mm-hmm. So I try to take my journey and make it a learning lesson for people. Cool. So that somebody could get something out of it. But at the same time, I get why people want to hear it, because it adds credibility to your story, how you did what you did, where you went. I think the first tidbit I would say is I always looked for opportunity, and even places where I knew I didn't belong, and I would shove my foot through those cracks. Mm. That was the thing. When I was 17 years old, I was in high school, Lakeland, Florida, and I was a middle child, and I knew that I was drawn to creating. This podcast right now with the mics, and you got the lights in here. This is exciting to me. Mm. And at a young age, I knew I liked the art of creating. Not technically, I'm good technically. I can do all my own audio, video if I needed to, but I liked the community building aspect. Mm. So I started calling TV and radio stations. I became a field producer for Fox TV at 17 years old. I was creating evergreen concepts for lifestyle stories for Fox. And then I was a syndication producer for iHeartRadio. Still lived in my mom's house, so like very early on I integrated into traditional media. But what I really learned there was the art of storytelling and how to tell a story in a way that's captivating and a way that keeps people interested. And what I really learned was how to build community that wanted to keep coming back to hear those stories,
Right.
which I think was a really important lesson for me. That's a hard skill. There's a lot that you can teach someone on how to do that, and then there's pieces of that that's like you have to hone in on. Like you're born with some ability to talk or communicate, but you got to learn the art of how to do it in a way that benefits other people and keeps them captivated. So it was a good skill for me.
And I think that's really important, especially nowadays. I feel like that skill is going to continue to serve you forever.
It does.
Because you said like capture that attention, but also
Yeah.
keep that attention.
That's key.
And I feel like today, more than ever,
Yeah.
like, trust is so much harder to come by
Well,
on social.
Here's what's interesting is in radio in 1996, they used something called TSL, time spent listening.
Okay.
This is how Arbitron or Nielsen rating gauge the success of a TV or radio program.
Okay.
How long could you keep an individual captured? 15 minutes was the goal. You had to keep people for 15 minutes.
Okay.
The goal in social today is 2 seconds. So like what's happened over the years
Yeah.
is the ability to do it has to be so much faster.
Right.
And that's why you start seeing more clickbait, and you start seeing, because everyone's just, it's a crowded market in any industry. So everybody's just coming out with like the raw aggressive impact.
Right.
The key to this, and I think you said it, the word was trust.
Yeah.
The key is really how do you add credibility to the impact?
Mm-hmm.
How do you actually add value to people while getting their attention at the same time? And that was sort of the tricky part, is like how do you do that? But you're right, it transcended. I started building my own agency. There was like traditional and digital, MySpace, Facebook, all that stuff started to launch.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I'm really good at this stuff. And I was using them in conjunction with one another. I was teasing appointments for listening to radio or watching TV in Facebook and MySpace. And it was driving larger groups of people who normally would forget to tune in.
Mm-hmm.
But I was using digital to set the reminders and appointment. Hey, don't forget, we're giving away tickets to NSYNC in 10 minutes. Turn on your radio.
Yeah.
So I'm driving occasions of listening through digital. And so CBS Radio came to me. They're like, would you run digital for us? And I was like, that's interesting, yeah. But I'm like, but I'm a talent. Talent doesn't run digital, but I loved it. And I didn't really know business. I didn't understand business acumen. I was always creative. I didn't really even understand sales, even though I did, because the art of communicating is sales.
Sure.
So I did know it. But long story even shorter, I'll get to the lesson because I know people are like, this dude's story is boring. So basically I learned how to take data to inform a strategy and then use that strategy to build better creative concepts. And so my career was somewhat backwards because I started really creatively, which is the last piece to any strategy. You got to start with the data, the information. Who am I? What's important? How am I different? And who am I connecting with? What's the target? What are the value propositions for the target? What are their behaviors? What do they really need? What are they looking for? If you have all that information, the creative part gets easy. A lot of people go fishing and they start with creative. They just see what they catch, So the more data you have to inform your creative, the easier it gets. I didn't learn that till later in life because I was so focused on the creative first.
Sure. And that's I was having a conversation with my coach the other day, because as I told you about my business, is like, it was very product driven.
Yeah.
And I didn't really necessarily think about the market too much, but now
Yeah.
he's like, you got to get inside of the market.
Yeah.
And that comes into the data.
Yeah.
Like, you got to look at the data, which tells you more about the market,
Right.
which continues to drive the product and the
Yeah,
sales.
that's exactly it. Data doesn't lie is the first thing.
Right.
Yeah. This is exactly what you should do. Have you ever heard somebody say that? Here's what you should do, right? If they don't have data to back it up, I don't know that you should do it. It's just a guess, it's an assumption. Data doesn't lie. So like if you have the data, you have better liability. You know that you have less error for mistakes. You know that you have better ROI, better chance at ROI, right?
Well, my question to that too, I agree with that, but I also feel like everyone's data is different, because it's like what your data worked for you, and you could say, you can make a educated guess to say like this could work for you, but until you actually go and accumulate all your data, you don't know what actually does work for sure.
Yeah, I always say I'm not an expert marketer, but I'm a data marketer.
Yeah.
So the idea is there's a bullseye. And the question is, how close can we get to the bullseye without dying, right? Without losing money, without bleeding dry. So the question is, how close can you get? The data gets you closer.
Sure.
That's all it does. It gets you closer. Doesn't mean you're gonna nail the bullseye, but it's gonna get you a little bit closer.
Yeah.
There's all different kinds of data. I think the most important thing, if we're talk about a snoozer. This guy comes on your podcast, starts talking about freaking data, just a snooze fest. But dude, if you're a business owner and you want to make money, like you better get excited about data.
I agree.
Like data is sexy, and you better get excited about it. There's different kinds of data, and what I find is it isn't even, back to kind of your point of what kind of data, right? It isn't even what kind of data. It's actually, the secret is, and I learned this in the big agency space working with Nike, Starbucks, Google, all these big brands. Give me all the data. Give me more data than my competitor has. If you don't know how to read it, extrapolate it, cross-contaminate it, if you don't know how to lay it over and layer it and tell a story with it, you don't even know what to do with it. I can give you all the data in the world. So there's a science behind, one, having the data, two, understanding what does the data mean, and then projecting and forecasting what you should do because the data says this. So I'll give you an example. Pumpkin Spice Latte was an account that I worked on for 2 years.
Okay.
And they wanted to know who's the core persona, the core target of a pumpkin spice latte, right? And we were going through third-party data, we went through loyalty data, we were going through point-of-sale data, we were going through historical data, we were looking at competitor data, we did swarm data, which is where you get 1,000 people on a Zoom, literally, and you ask them all to answer questions at the same time. Bump, 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 right? And you can ask them anything.
Customers.
Or not, or haters.
Oh, really?
Customers, haters, yeah, all different kinds of people. You're just taking polls and polls and polls of people. So there's quantitative, qualitative, all kinds of data, right? And at the end of the day, what piece of data, if you're a storyteller, is going to help you drive more impact on your finances if you're a business owner? That's the question. Not all data is created the same. I could give you market data and you go, this doesn't help my business. But I could give you competitive data that does help your business because it gives you something to go towards, to move towards as the target. So the one data point that was the most interesting was that the core persona, the one who drives the most sales for Pumpkin Spice, the thing we found was she wanted to be on the good side of FOMO. She didn't want to be left out. She wanted to be the first to know. She was an influencer, micro influencer in her little network. And she wanted to document the process of getting this pumpkin spice before anybody else.
Yeah.
And so we gave her first access before anybody else. That was the campaign. It was based on a behavior data point. All the point of sale data in the world wouldn't tell you that. We needed the behavior data of that drinker to know she wants to document pumpkin spice is back and I got the first sip of the season. So she wanted exclusivity within her group to say, I knew it was back and I'm gonna take you to go get it because you didn't know, right? So we took it, we were like, let's go for it, right? Bullseye? I don't know, could be, close.
Yeah.
We know enough. That's the story, the science behind it. It's like, take the data and do what with it? So we determined, let's dark post it. So the general public doesn't see this. We segment it so that the emails only go to her. We go to platforms and channels where she exists, and we say, hey, exclusive. No one knows it's out. In fact, publicly, it's not out. There's not a sign in the store. You won't see it on a menu. There's no blast. There's no big social campaign. Only you get access to this drink with this code. It's hidden. In fact, it's hidden under the counter, the syrup.
And you guys would explain that in the copy?
That's it. Yeah, we would explain how exclusive this is. Yeah. It was called, if you want to look it up, it's called The Real PSL. It was a scavenger hunt. We won awards for it.
Okay.
If you search Buck Wise Pumpkin Spice Latte, you'll see me, I think I was in New York accepting a few social media awards we did, some of the scavenger hunts were on Tumblr, and the team won awards because they were so creative on how they built the scavenger hunt. But increases sales 20% from the year before.
Wow.
Right? Data point. But it wasn't that data point. It was someone was smart enough to go, aha.
Could read the data.
Yeah, you got to read. It's like, and by the way, it wasn't me. By the way, it was what we call data scientist.
Okay.
There's in big agencies, they hire guys that are called data scientists, and their job is to dissect data to tell us, well, what does it mean? What should we do with it? And then you pair a data scientist with a creative person, and they're like, what if we did this? You know, and they're like, sure. You know, they're boring. Right? They're the smartest people in the room, but you know, they weren't the ones coming up. Yeah, they weren't coming up with the social campaign. They were just telling you interesting behavior. They want to be first. We're like, well, let's let them be first. An exclusive new chance to drink this before anybody else. And if you hashtag it, we'll give you 2 free drinks for your friends. You know, that's the creative element.
Well, wouldn't you even argue that, well, I'd be curious, this is the question, is like across like all your marketing efforts, would you say that that's a big factor to a lot of people? They want to be not even necessarily exclusive, but they're kind of the first to know, they're validated by all their peers, like feeling like everyone is adhering to them? Yeah,
I think it depends on the persona. So at this time it was a millennial who, you know, she had a lot of college debt. She didn't have the ability to spend a lot of money. So what was important to her was being in the know, you know, specifically her. I think the most important thing is that people feel understood. That's probably the biggest, any persona. When a message is translated to somebody, they want to know it was meant for them, right? That a brand did the homework. And when they read whatever it is, or see whatever it is, or hear whatever it is, or taste whatever it is, they get me. That was for me. You know, you think of the brands you love more than anything, and how it makes you feel, how connected you feel. That's the secret sauce. If you're a business owner watching this podcast right now, you have to think, what is it about that persona that I know so intimately that I don't even have to say it because they can feel it. Everybody thinks brand is visual. Like when you say the word brand, everybody's like, oh yeah, my logo and the colorways, and brand is a feeling.
Yeah.
And it touches all senses. I give an example, the Apple store. If you've ever been in an Apple store, you walk in, you're greeted, the person's wearing a blue shirt. If you need an expert, they send you to the back where they're wearing a black shirt, and they're called geniuses, right? That's branding. That's an employee operational process. Still branding. Makes you feel a certain way, like this person's going to help me, they're a genius. And their shirt shifts from blue to black. So it's like authority, you know? And so it's just interesting. It manifests its way. Everybody thinks of marketing. This is the other biggest mistake most business owners make. They think of marketing as new leads. Anyone who thinks that way, it's just transactional in nature. Marketing is so much more important on process operations and retention. Marketing is so much more important on the consistent experience that any existing or new customer has in the business. So, you know, everything from when somebody calls your business, how do you answer the phone? That's marketing. Everyone's just like, oh, you do marketing? Facebook ads, can you help me get leads? That's what the average business owner, and no fault to theirs, right? They didn't do this for 25 years. They didn't study in school. There is no good school for marketing. If you haven't done it, you're just not good at it. So you know, I think that's the thing to remember, is that marketing manifests itself as a feeling and an experience for customers at all touch points of the journey.
I remember hearing this piece of advice that said, if the only way that you could get a new customer was by referral, like how would you treat that customer? And that just opened my perspective, because I started out in like affiliate marketing. I was just driving massive traffic to a VSL, converts at 5%, upsells the whole thing. And that worked back then. But if you, like we talked about before, if you want to maintain that community and keep people coming back, it's like, would you want to share this with your best friend? Would you want to share this with your wife? Like, would you feel that good about the product? If not, then...
People don't realize the power of referral marketing. We call it earned media.
Yeah.
There's 3 types of media: owned, paid, and earned. And earned media is something you don't own and you can't buy it. It's based off a good experience. And owned media is the most powerful ROI in any campaign and the most detrimental. Think about it. You have a bad experience.
Okay, gotcha.
You vomit at a restaurant and that Google review hits, salmonella poisoning. And that review kills you for years. That restaurant may not survive. So it is just as powerful as it is dangerous. That's why it's so important. It's a really good way to look at it. If all you could do is survive off of earned, what would the process or operations be? You know, how much more granular would you pay attention to the product or service? And that's why, you know, I think it's easy. Most businesses, I don't know what size business anyone watching this might be at, but starting a business, it's really easy to have consistency because you're good at what you do and you know the business. So there's no issues. Great experience. It's when a business hits the next break point and they start bringing people in. How do you translate your expertise to that person? Do they even care as much as you about the business? Usually not, right?
No one will ever care as much as you.
No one ever will. And so unless you give them a piece, and then you're still taking a chance. But that's usually where businesses hit that grind in retention. So we know a business doing over 5 million needs to have at least 60% retention to get to the next break point. So, you know, and here's what I know, most businesses at 5 million don't even track their retention. If I ask the business owner right now, if you're doing 1 to 5 million in revenue, can you answer this question? How much of your flow, when you look at your cash flow, how much of your revenue is new business versus retention business? A lot of businesses don't even know. You know, they're not working on putting the detailed innovation in their data. And then what's your plan to grow retention, not just new business? A lot of people think marketing strategy is like, let's put up a plan for, we're going to do commercials and campaigns and radio, Facebook or VSLs or whatever it is. You should be putting the same level of attention on super serving the clients you already have. And then what's your campaign for the clients you already serve? What do the nurture sequences look like? You know, how are you retargeting people that already know, love, and trust you? How are you leveraging them as influence and ambassadors in the network or community? It's a missed opportunity.
What are some of the best type of campaigns that you've ran in terms of retention?
Well, what's interesting, it's a good question, is that influence used to be something that was easy for earned, right? Because you saying you're the greatest is not as great as someone else saying you're the greatest.
Sure.
So people would hire other people, influencers.
Yeah.
But now the stats says, I don't know if you saw this last week, an article came out, 90% of consumers don't trust big influencers. So influencers are dying. So the new strategy that businesses are using, if you've been thinking about using influencer relations, this is the strategy you should use. That's your highlight if you want to use it. Okay. Just clip that right there. Watch the podcast with Bud. Okay, so this is the strategy you should use. Micro engagement, micro ambassadors. You or me or people that don't have millions of followers, 20,000 followers, 10,000 followers, hell, 2,000, it doesn't matter, 2,000 followers. You can get 6 of your friends to buy way easier than a person with 1 million followers. It's so much easier for these micro influencers because they trust you, right? You have built-in guaranteed trust. Yeah. And so that is, and micro influence has always been around, but now brands are saying, okay, we need thousands of micro influencers, an army of ambassadors.
So that's how you scale, it's just bringing an army on.
Yeah, it's earned. Yeah. And there's a system behind that because you have to manage it. So you have to build technology platforms for this. You have to build, you know, how you regulate it. What's the benefit? Why would somebody talk about your business? How is somebody incentivized to grow? So it's a whole platform that you have to build for your business. Some businesses are really good. You know, you were saying that you went to Level Up, the Optavia conference. Yeah. Optavia is a great example of a successful company that has amazing earned. I know they haven't done a ton of paid Facebook ads there. I think they've done none, right? Like that company is grassroots. And it's a big company in the health space, and it's changing a lot of people's lives. And it's done it because it helps people's lives, right? The story and the success that Optavia has had helps them grow with earned equity so easily. But they have a system, right? There's a whole system in place. If you go in somewhere and someone coaches you somewhere, and then you sign up and someone else signs up with you, and then it's just all incentivized. And at the same time, you're changing people's lives, so they have purpose and incentive. And I think that's key. Incentive that's transactionally focused is not as great as incentive that's purpose driven.
Well, it's a feeling too, just like what you talked
That's right,
about.
yeah.
I mean, I went to that event and I had no idea what to expect. 'Cause
Yeah.
Doug and Tia was just like, yeah, you should come to our event.
Yeah.
I had no idea, and then all of a sudden, 5,000 people. I'm
Yeah, it's a big event.
like, see Tia on stage, I'm like, whoa, this
They
is a
do
little
it
different
right.
than the
They do it right.
20-person event I was at the week prior.
That's real influence, you know?
Yeah. But I'm such a big advocate of like what you talked about. It's an energy, it's a feeling, it's the experience that you give people. And once you do that, then it's like people are ambassadors.
That's it.
They love your product, they tell everyone about it.
Yep.
And that's just, I really feel that's the way of the future, because
Nice.
paid just, hey, let's run 10 grand to Facebook ads
Yeah.
and get a bunch of customers. It's
Yeah.
not the same anymore.
It only really, ads are really beneficial for like e-com. If you're drop shipping small technical items and things like that, there's not going to be a lot of loyalty and ambassadors in a product like that. But if you're trying to build a real service-based business, or if you want to build a community-based business, you got to do more than ads. It's just not going to. You won't survive. You may succeed, but you won't survive.
So, talk to me about like that. These are all the things that you've done. What are you currently doing? What's your main focus? What's even your vision of moving forward?
Sure, yeah. Right now, I'm the CEO of a very fast-growing agency, Closing Day Agency. We work with high-performing entrepreneurs, small to medium-sized businesses. So anyone really over $1 million in revenue, we're helping them, with data, strategy, creative, full service, traditional, digital. We're building funnels. We're helping with education programs. We have all kinds of verticals: real estate, health. We're in entertainment, we're in beauty, all different kinds of fun verticals. But really, I think my passion and purpose is helping business owners that have the self-awareness, that know they've created success to a point and they just want to go to that next level. Those are my favorite types of clients. I don't pitch clients on why they need my services. Clients come to me and say, I know I need this, and so we want to work with you, we want to partner, and we go in for the long run. Like, we go in and help these businesses not just create a campaign so that they can increase their revenue. We go in to help them take $1 million business to $5 million. And yes, we do marketing, we do sales, but a lot of it is based in operational success. So I'm helping them build the back end of their process. A lot of my clients come to me and they're like, hey, we've grown so much, we need to start our internal hires for like a marketing team. Like, here I am as the agency, and they're like, we need an internal marketing director or vice president. I can't tell you the amount of times I've helped clients attract, run campaign. Think about it, it's marketing. Attracting talent to your organization is a marketing campaign. And so I help organizations attract and recruit. It's a big piece that a lot of people miss. And then I even do the interviews, because who's going to pressure test talent better than me? 25 years of experience, literally worked across all different verticals, big brands, small brands. So I'll go through the interviews with the clients, help them hire and scale. I want them to succeed. I want them to get big. And the more I help them get big, the more the money and the more the success hits for both of us. I'm a big believer in relationships, and so this agency is relationship based. It is not a fly-by-night transactional agency just looking to service people's ads or funnels or whatever people are looking for. If you're just looking for technical service, wrong partner. We're really looking for people that are growth mindset and want to go big.
I'd be curious to kind of hear a little bit within your journey of like your mindset and how you've been able to really navigate. And again, I didn't hear too many challenges in there, so I'd love if you...
Yeah, sure. Let's see. My biggest challenge early on, and this might help a young entrepreneur that's watching this right now, was I was what they call a unicorn. I was good at everything and I liked everything, right? I would say good at everything.
Okay.
Not great,
Okay.
but good. right? I could do my own mic. I could run this camera.
Yeah.
I could do the interview. I did. I worked for iHeartRadio. I interviewed Jay-Z, Beyonce, Mariah Carey, Jennifer Lopez, name them. Anybody before, I don't know, 2002, if they were famous, I interviewed them face to face. I had all the skill sets. I built my own website. You know, it was like I was the guy for everything. And I started my own agency. I didn't have the business acumen. I didn't understand the importance of data. I think I lost money my first year of my first agency. I had Major League Baseball, Valvoline Oil, Chevy Racing. These were my clients. I got one. That one introduced me to another one. That one introduced me to that, like on accident.
Referrals.
The first, yeah, it was all referral based. It was all earned. First client came to me, Detroit Tigers, and they were like, "We're a 150-year-old baseball league, and we have no strategy whatsoever. Would you build it for us?" And I was like, "Sure." So I was an accidental entrepreneur, and I didn't know how to do taxes. I didn't know how to I didn't understand process or operations or hiring. So I definitely lost money my first year, but it was like a great learning experience for me to figure out how to build the business the right way. But my challenge was, as I started working for Nike and these bigger brands, was I had to remember that you can't be all those things. And so my biggest struggle was picking my lane. Like, I had a mentor tell me, they were like, you can't be the I'll solve every problem guy, because that guy never gets hired. You have to be like, this is my forte, this is what I do. And so I honed in on strategy very early. Strategy's hard though, because it's not tangible. I'm the video guy. Here's what you get: 10 videos, and you're gonna post them on social, right? Oh, I'll buy that because I get to see it.
Sure.
So business owners just never understand, because they don't know business. Most entrepreneurs in the SMB space are accidental. They're all accidental. They hated their boss, they hated their job. They were like, let me try something and see if it works. And they were good at something else. And so then they're like, well, what do you mean I gotta buy strategy? I know the strategy. I started a business. I'm doing $1 million a year. What do you mean I gotta buy strategy? You don't have the strategy to go to 10 million. And it's a whole different ball game to go from 1 to 10. And so I would say that was probably one of my first challenges, was just focusing in on what is my forte. It's strategy.
And picking that. How did you come, like, because I can relate to that, certainly. It's almost like it's a good thing in the beginning because you're able to do all the things: video editing, shooting, copywriting, ads. But then after a while, it's like it starts pulling you all different directions.
It can, if you're not focused. The benefit is this: pick the thing and be the best. No, be good, be the best at the one thing. The other things that are ancillary that you're good at are added value on all those clients that you work with. You know, like I'll still to this day be building a strategy for some random client. They're like, oh, this image is weird. It's formatted funny. I'm like, here, give it to me. There it is. And they're like, whoa, added value. I don't do photos. I don't do video editing, but I know Photoshop. I know Final Cut. I could edit if I have to. Sometimes I do my own videos. I got a team that does videos, but sometimes I personally just like, it's a hobby. Like, I like storytelling and video editing. So half the time I send it to my team, but occasionally I'm like, ooh, I got a really good idea, and it's gonna take me longer to tell them the idea than if I just do it myself. So I'll just do it myself. But I think the idea is like, how did the other talents benefit the one thing that you became? And I think the other area where I get asked for a lot of support is personal brand. So if you're building a personal brand, clarity is going to be the key. So maybe we're past like the beginning phases. Like, now you're an established entrepreneur. You got amazing revenue. I got guys doing $150 million a year, and they're literally like, nobody knows me. I don't know how to upload on social. Like, what's my personal brand? And they're like, I'm the entrepreneur guy. And I'm like, nope, that doesn't mean anything. Like, you got to be, what are you, the scaling expert? Are you the financial tax expert? Like, a good friend of mine, Mark Kohler, I don't know if you know him, he's an Arizona guy. He's a huge tax influencer, massive YouTube channel. You know, he's like, you just know, you see him, he's the CPA guy. That's his brand. Like, when somebody says your name, what do they say? You're the what guy, right? Don't be the shoe guy. I made that mistake. You know, I was like always showing my shoes online. They're like, you're the shoe guy. I'm like, no, I'm the marketing guy. I'm not the shoe guy, right? So you got to be careful. Perception is reality in marketing. So the more you do the thing that you do, the more you become that. So pick a lane, be that, and then just have consistency on that over and over.
And you're the strategy guy now?
Strategy, yeah.
That's when people think about Buckwise, it's strategy.
They think business scaling.
Okay.
They think strategy, business scaling. They also think personal branding, because a lot of how I've created success today is through my own personal brand.
Okay.
So a lot of entrepreneurs are like, how do I create a brand online that earns trust and converts more deals? So that's more of a niche, like a break off. Like the first thing is strategy. And then when you get into specifics, it's like how to actually create content that converts through a personal brand.
Let me tell you this one. I want to hear your response to this. Someone told me that a key to a really good personal brand is having the perfect balance of connection and envy, to where they're like, damn, I really relate to this person. I'm very similar to this person, but I kind of want their life.
I do love that. Who said it?
I forget.
Got to give them credit.
Yeah.
Connection, the perfect balance of connection and
It was
envy.
connection or authenticity.
It's
one of
good.
those two.
I like envy more than authenticity. Authenticity's good too.
But it's that combination of having it, because it's like it can't be too much envy. Then you see all these guys driving Lambos, and they're like,
yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, there's no authenticity in that. And
but
that's
then it's on the
everywhere now.
flip side. If it's just authenticity and they're
Yeah.
just sharing what's all on their heart, then they're kind
It's
of
true.
like,
It's a balance. I call it cadence. So if you look at your pillars of content, people say, what's pillars of content? Those are the buckets of who are you? And there's a big bucket, and everybody knows you for it. But what's your second, third, fourth, and fifth bucket? That's why I'm business strategy, right? And it's a lot of marketing. Like if you want to put an umbrella on it, it's marketing, right? But
so
then
yeah,
it's,
is it like one main thing, and then it's like what, like 3, 4,
Buckets.
5 pillars?
yeah, and you'll see one of my pillars is like 6%, very small, family. Why? Because it's relatable to my target. Most entrepreneurs have kids. And the envy part, I like that statement. They see it and they go, man, like he's such a good dad, and like I want to be a good dad, and like I resonate and I connect with that. And so there's relatability. And so it's a connection point. Family closes so many deals for me, because they're like, oh man, happy birthday to the kids. I'm like, how's business? I'm like, let's connect. Right? But what I learned was, because I'm a data marketer, is I would notice the more I'd show kids, people would exit stories. People would be like, so that's why you have to watch your data. They really resonate more with education and information and inspiration from me. And the more, like, they like the kids, they're cute, but in very small doses. So you really have to think about what are those buckets, be very clear on them, and then study which ones perform, which ones engage, which ones convert. The kids are just such a great relatable thing for me, but like the kids are cute, but nobody wants overkill on kids. Nobody wants to watch Kids Bop for 10 hours. You know what I mean? It's just too much. There's your second clip. Whoever edits this, that's it. Nobody wants Kids Bop. Buck,
Fade out.
just grow.
What? Because based on everything I've concluded here is like, and just the things I know from social and whatnot, like you're living a great life, and
It's good. I'm blessed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can feel that too. Like you have
Nice.
a gratitude about you.
Thank you, man.
It's authentic.
That's
and,
important. Yeah, thank you.
And so I'd be curious, like, was this something that you always had in your mind? Were you always focusing on? Did you visualize this? What's your take on like the subconscious mind manifestation?
I'm big on manifestation. I think I grew up, like I didn't go through any major hardships. Like parents divorced when I was 12, split up, dad moved to another state. Like, I see people that went through hardship. Dude, that ain't hardship. Like I've seen people go through, to me, that's America now. Yeah. I don't even think it's sad. I'm like, yeah, that's just, what is it? 58% of marriages fail within 2 years. More than half of marriages fail in 2 years, right? Lots of kids split up. I don't even call them broken homes. That's just America today. Yeah. So like I didn't have any major hardships. We weren't rich, but I think I was like a lot of average lower middle class kids where you weren't taught financial wealth, you weren't taught mindset. Nothing against those parents, right? Because that information wasn't relevant then. They just know
what they know.
They knew what they knew. Nobody was talking about it. Today, everybody talks about mindset and manifestation. Like now, it's a thing that everybody kind of knows. But back then, it didn't exist. But I definitely had mentors along the way that started to teach me positivity. That started to teach me, what you think is what you say, and what you say ends up being what you do, and what you do ends up building your legacy. And so, it's interesting. You hear things like that all the time. You hear Zig Ziglar. Your parents knew Zig Ziglar. Yeah. And so, like, this stuff isn't new. But when you hear it, it just sounds like a dentist poster. Like, oh, your mind must... But then if you really actually, like, study it, and you think about it, and I talked about this on an Instagram Live earlier this morning. When you woke up this morning, who's the first human being you saw, and what were the first things that you said out of your mouth? And then who's the second human being you saw? And when they asked you how you were doing, what did you say? I watch people all day long. I pick up on it now. Like I'm an empath anyway, so I feel energy.
Me too.
And I watch and I listen. And I can't tell you the amount of times I head to the gym in the morning and I have a trainer there, and you hear like, how are you? Oh man, tired, didn't do it, bones, back, leg. It's like, dude, asking someone how they are is their invitation to bitch about their life. Mm-hmm. And I think competitively, if you can get to a state of mind where you refuse to go backwards, talk about the past and things that hurt or don't work, and you can talk about what you're doing, what you're building, what you're excited about, you're John Maxwell, you're magnetizing people to you. Yeah. It's just a magnet. And so I tried my hardest. It does. You can ask, my employees and business partners. Jacqueline knows, who's with me. It's hard. Days get crazy, clients get nuts. Sometimes it's hard, but that's why you got to surround yourself in a circle of people that share the same value and hold each other accountable. Yeah. To say, we're not going to do that. This isn't how. This is what we need to do. We need to focus on what we're doing, where we're going, and then it's amazing how taking action on that. When you say a certain thing, you take action on it. You draw good things back into your life. That and just understanding financial wealth. Like just, so the mind is important, but then it's important to understand how to use time almost as important as how to use money.
Yeah. I think, it's both sides, right? I'm a big advocate of it, of the mind. Mm-hmm. Putting it out there, speaking it out into existence, seeing in your mind, feeling it. Like those are all huge for me. I used to be a baseball player all through college, and nice. I had this experience that just completely shifted everything for me because I was getting very serious about baseball, and I wanted to go play D1, and I was at a junior college. I had to go play lights out this year if that was going to happen, and my mom gave me a copy of The Secret when I was 18, nice. And I really started implementing that stuff, and I saw in my mind all the time, I saw myself hitting a walk-off home run off the 7 of the scoreboard, and I just kept seeing it, and then there's this game that it happened exactly.
Wow.
And so that just opened my mind so much to like, all right, put it out there. But you got to feel it.
Yeah.
Right? But even what you're saying, I'm a big advocate of that too, is like, I think there's some people that just solely get stuck on that. So like, all right, let me just sit here and think about it. Oh, it's going to come. But it's like, you got to.
But they take no action.
Yeah. And then having a plan too, and like micro stepping it to that success.
That's called strategy. You need it. That's why you pay for it. That's why you pay for it, because you need a plan. By the way, I manifested that this is the highest viewed podcast that you would ever have. So I would just like to welcome you. You're a part of a record on this podcast.
Probably of all time.
I hope so. Thank you for having me on, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
We have one little last gift for you.
Uh-oh.
Then I have just one last question.
It's a hard-hitting question?
Could be.
Let's hear it.
Well, I got a little gift first.
Okay, let's hear it.
As I told you, we have the company that we're building, we have some tools. Okay. So we've been playing around with some stuff, and your highest self came back to us and he wanted to tell you something.
Oh, let's hear it. I can't wait.
Hey, Buck, it's me. It's you, the future you. I'm so excited for you to get here, but I'm equally, if not more, pumped for you to embrace every moment until you do get here. It's cool to see how passionate, resilient, and courageous you are. I'm excited for you to see who you've become and all you've achieved. Yeah, the optimal health and vitality, that allowed you to feel younger and younger every single day. The wealth you built that gave you the freedom and abundance you had always desired. The loving and committed relationships that filled your heart with so much joy. Oh, and of course you became one of the most influential persons of all time. But most importantly, all the lives you've had a massive impact on, especially your own. Buck, I love you. I love who you are. I love who you've always been. And I love who you're constantly becoming. Now get up and make it a great day.
That's awesome, dude. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Very cool.
All right, last question.
Hit me.
What are people saying at your funeral?
Man, did you ever see Buck on Nick's podcast? It was one of his best moments in life. You know, I think people would say, you know, that I was full of passion in anything that I did. Anything that I did, that's what I hope they say anyway. That anything that I did, I went all in.
Yeah.
You know, I don't half-ass anything, or else I just don't do it. Yeah. Everything from being a dad, from being a husband, to being a business owner, to helping other businesses. It's just like, when I say I'm going to do something, I want people to feel that, like, I'm 100% committed and dedicated. And I think that's what's driven a lot of the success of my life, is that people see that and feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel it, man.
Cool.
Where can people find you? And you said Instagram.
Instagram's the best. Hit me at @AboutBuck. That's the best place to do it. Shoot me a direct message, by the way. Don't just follow me. Don't passive aggressive follow, like, oh, let's see what this guy's about. Maybe he's got some good stuff I can steal. You can steal it all, but shoot me a direct message and tell me what you do. I'm not gonna pitch you. Just say hi. You know, so many people are afraid of being pitched. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get in some sort of automation if I send them a message. Just say hi. I literally do a video message back to anybody that follows me.
Love that.
That's it.
Cool, man.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for
Appreciate
being here.
it.
Appreciate you.